how you thought I would wait. It's Romania Black, and no, I did not wait. I am on episode 6 of Steins Gate, and I can't stop. I can't stop. I was like, no. We had to watch episode 6 because episode 5 ended with Okarin being like, let's build a time machine before this organization that spent 40 years doing it. And they're only thinking that because their microwave just happened to work. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, so I don't have any comments per se to talk about, but I want to talk about the English dub for episode 5, because the English dub for episode 5 had a lot of one-liners that were really good, and also a translation difference that I think spoils some content. So we're going to talk about this, which I don't consider anything I find out from the English dub a spoiler, because if I had watched, it's kind of like Schrodinger's cat. If you had watched the English dub first in the reactions, you would have found out there anyway. So anything I find out from the English dub, I'm just going to be like, oh, meh, it's fine. So when they're carrying the box, and Amane is asking Okarin how he found the IBN 5100, the English dub has him say, "Fate guided my footsteps to Yaribayashi's shrine, where it languished amidst the dusty offerings of yesteryear." Which is great. And then when Amani has the reaction to Kurisu and she gets called away, Kurisu's like, well, if looks could kill, I'd be a goner. And Okarin says, you do have a right dastardly face. It's a good thing he makes up for it, because he did himself no favors in that. And then later he says the line, "Frailty, thy name is assistant." Which is really funny. And he also says, "Foul enchantress working your hoodoo on that innocent girl," talking about her, like, talking to Mayuri. But then I love how they interpreted Daru's line as, "Give in to the sapphic goodness." She calls him a pervert, and Mayuri's like, what does sapphic goodness mean? It's great. So then here's the parts that have a little bit of some interesting revelations. So when Okarin is outside with Amane before she gives him her email and goes off to see the fireworks, he's like, are you mad at Kurisu for some reason? He's like, she packs a wicked scoff, which is cute. And then she says in the English dub, she hasn't done anything yet, but I promise you she will. Just be careful. She's bad for your health. Now, that could have a lot of implications. That could mean that Amane has seen Kurisu in potentially another timeline or somewhere else. But it could also mean that Kurisu doesn't recognize her, but it could mean that she's basing this off of Kurisu's father. That could be. Maybe Kurisu doesn't remember Amane, but her and Amane have met in the past when she was with her dad. We don't know. Or maybe she's just talking about the reputation that she has. Who knows? But I still think Amane is a time traveler, but that's not been proven yet, so we'll see. And then to kind of go along with that, she's bad for your health, Kurisu says later on that all she wants is the truth. And that's well and good and all, but it's like, to what lengths will you go to get the truth is kind of the crazy thing, right? And then the English dub, I think I really like J. Michael Tatum's read of, "Look at you, the sight of you enveloped in that lab coat, it says, to the very bones of my marrow it thrills me." I was like, oh my God, crazy. And then I thought this line was really cute. He says, "The coat is a pledge, a symbol that you are a friend to science." It just is so cute. A friend to science. Okay, last thing I wanted to talk about is that when they're having the discussion of Dr. Pepper, and he's like, "Oh, you're a connoisseur of Dr. Pepper?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, I spent 7 years in the States." That was not in the Japanese sub. So isn't that a coinky dink? She was in the US for 7 years, hasn't talked to her dad in 7 years. Just saying, there might be a little quinky dink there, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see. So I thought we'll just have to wait on that. But anyway, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to all of the others. They may not be connoisseurs of the intellectual drink of choice, but they are connoisseurs of the intellectual tier of choice. And that is the philanthropy tier over on my Patreon. So I have 4 tiers on Patreon where people can support me in a number of different ways. But the philanthropy tier, they donate a little extra each month because they're awesome and amazing and they want to support the channel. And so I give them shout outs in my videos. So, with that being said, before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Alex Cornejo, to Be Happy, to Bisa, to Alyssa, to Dana, Damage3245, to Devorin, to Danger Zone, because I have to say it that way, as well as Destiny Marie, Daniel, Ichu, Eric, Fisho, Ghostly Turnip, El Freya, Liam Poles, Lyndon, Murphew, Mochi Kun, Willie Morris, Translucent Men, Sunspots, and Shimoyama. Thank you all so much for your kindness and your support. I greatly appreciate it. All of my love. So if I'm missing anybody, because I think there might have been some new people on the tier that I've not wrote down yet, I will include you in this as well. So thank you all so much for your support. You truly are the intellectuals of this channel. But anyway, yeah, so I'm pretty excited. I don't know what we're going to get as far as this episode now that Hoin Kiyoma has made this dramatic claim, but I guess we'll find out. So we are going to start episode 6 of Steins Gate. Ooh, so excited. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. I feel like the red light that starts this episode tells us to proceed with caution. So, okay, episode 6. What a weird episode. What a weird episode. Moeka's weird. She's just weird. Can we talk about Moeka? I mean, she may be harmless. She may be harmless. You know, I have nothing wrong with Moeka choosing to communicate via text messages. I feel that's fine. Some people, if you are neurodivergent, you would rather text someone than talk to them, and there's some social anxiety there. That's perfectly fine. That's okay. The part that gets weird with Moeka is that she is so persistent about getting to the IBN 5100, hasn't said what she's going to do with it, doesn't say, but she's just like so just to the point blunt of being like, can I have this? Can I do this? Can I come into your house? And Okarin is all you need is a nice ass and a pair of boobs to get yourself into this scientific lab. Is that all it takes? Because he is letting literally anybody with 2 boobs and a butt into that lab. And I'm like, Okarin, my dude, I know. And you know what it could be? You know what it could be? It could be because Okarin is not intimidated by women and he thinks that they're not going to do anything. Is sexism going to get Okarin in trouble? Is misogyny going to get Okarin in trouble? I don't know. I don't want to say Okarin's a misogynist because he's not. I like Okarin a lot, but he is a little bit dim-witted in this. And I'm like, are you underestimating these women that could probably kill you and steal your work and could be working for CERN? I don't know. So let's dive into this episode. We just need to tackle it head on. That giant red man in the stoplight there saying stop is just such an indication that things are not, there's something rotten in the state of Denmark, and there's like a cicada on the side of it or something. I don't know. So the satellite, let's take note of this. The satellite has been there for 5 days, right? Okay, so we're gonna put this up here. The satellite has remained for 5 days. And there's been no action taken to do anything with it. That part is weird in itself, and I'm surprised nobody else is kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I get why they would leave it up there if it was a safety concern, and they're like, well, we don't want to immediately take it down because, you know, some parts of it could fall on people, people could get hurt, whatever. But you would think they'd start blocking off the street or like getting crews in and be like, hey, let's get this out of here as soon as we can, and then we'll worry about the building and rebuilding later. I don't know. It just feels like a bullet that is like lodged into an arm, And they're like, well, we got to remove it, but if we remove it, then what's going to happen? So it's kind of like it's stuck there, which is interesting. So this episode is called the Butterfly's Divergence. And I wanted to bring up two different terminologies when we get into there, but we're not there yet. So we're gonna talk about butterflies and divergence here in just a little bit. But yeah, so people are kind of like, hey, it's been almost a week. That satellite's still here. It's kind of weird. Maybe we should do something with it. Meanwhile, there's no timetable to when it's going to be taken down. So Moeka is here. Moeka with her very 2010s, like, checkerboard belt buckle and everything. Looking very much like in the 2010s fashion. But yeah, so she has been texting. And I wanted to see, like, what her text message said. Because she's at the parts place that Okarin was the day before. And it says, mail received. Now, FB. It says FB, FB, FB. There's, like, all these FBs. Over and over again. Like, from... I don't know what FB means. We're going to get into this. But she keeps replying to them. And they're like just constantly every few minutes. So interesting. We're going to put FB up here. So FB is the subject line. Of Moeka's emails that she's literally been sending over and over and over again. Okay. We're going to go back to this. I want to say that I've been looking at eye colors and stuff. In some of the anime, I've watched some of the eye colors match, but no, Moeka does not have the same eye color as like Amane or anything, so they're not related or anything. Interesting. But she keeps texting back and forth on her purple phone, which girl, and she looks pretty content that moment, and then they try to ask her for an interview, and she very much does not want to. We're going to put Moeka up here and note that she talks over text. She talks through text. And then she does not want to be photographed. What's interesting is it almost feels as if she's trying to not leave behind any evidence that she's there. And you would think that with her texting, that there'd be all this paper trail of her existing. But I don't know, because we talked about in previous episodes that when the one timeline ended, parts of those texts would go away. So like when Okarin sent the first text back to Daru had a copy of the text, but Okarin no longer did. So I don't know if Moeka is trying to I don't know if she's trying to get Okarin to send her a text, or if she's going to try to send a text and it's going to interrupt the time machine being worked on or something like that. I don't know if that's going to be the case, or if she's trying to just stay out of sight, out of mind, or maybe she's afraid of her voice being recorded or being identified. I don't know. But they ask where she's from and she's instantly like, nope, not going to talk to you. And of course, like all of the symbolism surrounding Moeka, she is in the shadows in this opening scene. There's clear angles of light, which envelop the truth as symbolism. She's in the shadows. So there's stuff about her, there's mystery about her that we don't understand. And then, yeah. Okay, I want to go back. So the text messages, 11:47, 11:41, 11:39, 11:33, 11:29, 11:23. Are those the same as what they were before? I want to go back to that text message before. Were they the same? I want to see, did they 11:41, 11:39, 11:33. Okay. Woo. Okay, so we had 41, 39, 33, 29, 23, 21. So those were the last series of text messages, and that's the minutes that they were sent. And then she goes back, looks at it again on her phone, and what does that say? I want to go back and see what her phone said there. Oh! Oh, the time changed! Oh, the time changed! This one, or wait, no, there's a new one. Oh, well, hell, there's a new one. It's 23. I thought it changed. Never mind. I was having a moment. 33, 29. Okay, so 20, 23. Hold on. 29, 33, 39, 41, and 47. Okay. So, but who's she receiving mail from? Because is he texting her back? Is he texting her back or not? I thought for a second her texts were out of whack, but who's texting her? Who's FB texting her and who's responding? Okay. So let's get past this intro and go from there. Okay. So the butterfly effect's divergence. We get a timestamp immediately towards the beginning of this. Yeah. So we get a timestamp towards the beginning of this episode immediately. The timestamp that we get says AD 2010, August 2nd, 11:52, and then 41, and then 58. Okay, so almost noon, basically, on August 2nd. It was funny that he was talking about August 2nd being this, like, day to remember, because in anime Digimon, it's always August 1st. So, August isn't a busy month, apparently. August is a crazy month for anime. Who knew? But, so Amane's hanging out with Daru and them, and she's having this meal for the first time. She's never had gyudon. Gyudon, let me see, like, is gyudon, it's a dish. I mean, it seems pretty standard. A bowl of rice topped with beef and onion. That sounds amazing. Topped with I hate raw or poached eggs on things. I'm an American, so give me a fried egg or give it to me like over hard. Daru would want me to repeat that. Daru and his perverted mind would want me to repeat that, but that's not happening, so. Oh no. So yeah, I do not like over easy things, and I don't like poached eggs. Ugh. Might as well just, no. Although I do think that looks amazing. I want to make it now. So that looks like a beef and rice bowl. That sounds absolutely delicious. Okay. That sounds great. Cool. Well, anyway, that sounds like a pretty common dish. So the fact that she's never had it before, again, I'm going to just point out things with Amane. We're going to put Amane over here. Amane has not had the delicacies of the modern day. I think she's from the future. I still think Amane is from the future. I think she's from the dystopian future that CERN has caused, and she has come back Terminator style to prevent this from happening. What's interesting is if that is the case, she has not done anything to really, of course, she may know she can't directly change the past, so she's like, maybe she's waiting to see if Kiryuu does something crazy. I don't know. We'll talk about this. She's like, I've heard rumors of it. Sounds like she's from a dystopian past. So, and then she puts the raw egg and everything. Now, Daru is like, last time you didn't pay for the meal. And I love whenever Okarin gets nervous, he picks up the phone and makes the imaginary phone call. So he's like, transfer the funds to my Swiss bank account. Like, he's just lying at that point, right? But I think it's interesting, the connection between Okarin lying when he's on the phone and Moeka texting because she doesn't want to communicate. Interesting. It's interesting to me. I don't know. But yeah, I like this lady. This poor woman that owns this restaurant is like, no cell phones. How many times do I have to tell you? I have to deal with you guys all the time. So, God, Mayuri's going to have me say do every time we see her show up on screen. So she comes in to say hi to all them. And she's like, it was my lunch break. She's like, if it had been earlier, you could have joined us. And so then Kiryuu shows up. And Amane just doesn't want to be around her. She just does not trust her. And she says she's never met her until now. But clearly, she knows something's gone down with her in her timeline. So, I don't know. Something's going on. And Okarin tries to find out in this episode, but doesn't quite work out. So, Okarin has this idea of a roundtable discussion where they're going to discuss the plans of what to do with the time machine. Like freaking King Arthur, he would position himself like that. But they're like, do you even own a round table? And he's like, the round table lies within all the lab members' hearts. There was so many funny lines in this episode. God, Miyano Mamoru cracks me up. He is so good in this role. If Light Yagami was a dork, and an unashamed dork, here's the thing: Light Yagami is a dork. But if he was an unashamed, unabashedly open dork in the series, this is it. I love it so much. I love Miyano Mamoru when he has fun with roles like this, and so far, Okarin is just such a trip. And so, she's like, I'm not putting anything weird in my heart. And then Mayuri's like, yes, there is something in my heart. And Dara's like, can I make this perverted? What's the round table? It's time for the round table with this situation. Now, my thing is, they're talking loud enough with the window open. I'm like, could Amane hear what's going on? Can she eavesdrop? I feel like she could. The show doesn't show us with her eavesdropping, but she could. He's like, we have to perfect the phone microwave name subject to change. The name subject to change is so dry. It's great. But, I mean, Kiryuu puts up a good point. CERN has had 40 years of research and development trying to create this time machine and perfect it. They all just stumbled across it as a bunch of crazy amateurs that just were in the right place at the right time. So the thing that kind of makes me a little worried, where I can kind of see where Amane was concerned about, is at one point when Okarin comes up there, he's like, you need to stop doing the experiments. She's like, well, just one more. I feel like even though he gets weird and makes all these claims and like loudly boasts and laughs and everything, he knows when to stop. And he has a major conscience where he's concerned, like he tells Kiryuu to go home. And he's now worried that he's got Mayuri involved and all this. And so he does have a conscience and a pure heart at the base of it all. He just masks it with his Okarinisms and being ridiculous and delusional. Kiryuu, on the other hand, she could become a mad scientist. She is so obsessed with figuring out the truth, and she has a dad that was like crazy into conspiracy theories, apparently. She might be the dangerous one that Amane's talking about, and Okarin just is not realizing it at the moment. So I don't know. Amane, I can't trust anything that she says, but she may have a point. I can kind of see maybe where this could be going. But supposedly CERN is evil. So we've succeeded in sending messages to the past. So we need to make sure the phenomenon occurs. And he's like, mail sent to the past is too long. We need to find a name for it. D-mail is great. D-mail is great. The animation on Nostalgia Drive was so well done. It was so good. I'm just like, no. And they're like, nope, don't like it. Sounds emo. Don't want it. But yeah, finally, I liked that Mayuri technically, DeLorean mail was great. I liked DeLorean mail, making it D-mail. I'm here for it. I liked it. Also, the mail that leapt through time. That's fun. Or time leap. So she's like, back to the mail. Like, get it, Mayuri. Mayuri was great. So yeah, D-mail. I like that it says subject to change. So yeah. So they decide the Operation Erd. What is Erd? Okay, Erd is, we have more Norse mythology. Yay. So let me see. Go back to this. Erd is one of a group of 3 Norns in Norse mythology. I want to know. Okay. Along with Verandi, possibly the happening or present. Oh, it's Old Norse for fate. Oh, that's cool. And then Skuld is debt or future. Nice. Okay, so we have Erd, which stands for fate. Operation Erd, which, of course, Okarin would call it that. With the other 3 Norns located at the well, that word is Norse, beneath the world ash trees of Asgard. They spin threads of life, cut the... Oh, are they kind of like the three in Hercules, the three fates? Yes, the three fates that have the scissors. Like they do that? Yes. Okay, cool. Cool. Nice. I like that. All right. Okarin is getting me back in Norse mythology. Fun times. It's been a while since Vinland Saga. So we don't know what it takes to make the D-mail happen. So they determine that it's electricity and timing when to let the text messages happen. So they try to trace back what worked last time. Let's try it again. Poor Mayuri, she's like, I'm getting low on bananas. How much could a banana cost, Mayuri? What, $10? And so he's like, Daru, not now. Yeah, what does she say there? She's like, put the banana in. He's like, let me say it again. They're like, not now, pervert. So Kiryuu offers to get Mayuri more bananas. And she's like, wow, Daru and Okarin never get me new bananas. And then I love that she gives her, like, what does she do there? She goes to put the banana in the microwave, hits her head, and then I love that Mayuri's like, pain, go away. Like, she just rubs it, and it's so cute. And Okarin's like, stop making a Yuri field and prepare the D-mail, which is funny on a number of fronts. One, it's funny because it's going along with Daru talking about the sapphic nature between Mayuri and Kiryuu. Hilarious, bisexual power couple, just saying. Two, it's playing off the fact that Okarin is kind of taking from Ferris's like force field that she gives him when he comes into the maid cafe. And since Mayuri works there, it's like she's doing a special field on Kiryuu, just like the maid cafe, even if that's not the case. Hilarious. Love it. But yeah, he's like 120 seconds. So they figure out, or rather Kiryuu figures out, that with the time change, 120 seconds equals 5 days is what they can set the microwave to. Now, the microwave has parameters. There's only so long you can set the time on the microwave. So what's interesting is the text sends back 5 days, but the banana goes back instantly to where it was, only in goo time and in goo form. So that part is the part that doesn't make sense. The text message goes back and past, but the banana is returned in a state. So that's kind of the weird thing, right? So before, when we were looking at this, we were looking at this idea. I'm going to kind of scooch myself over here. In the past, it was like, here is the person in the time machine through CERN, and this is just like the little isotope thing. But then they get sent back to the past as goop, right? Here, you have the banana in the microwave, but then what happens is the banana doesn't go back in the past. The banana goes over here as goop, and what goes into the past is data that doesn't have a form. I mean, it has a digital form, but not a physical one, right? So sending digital text back is easy, but it comes at the cost of having something physically represented in that moment. So when they've sent someone in the past, there was no data. It was just the actual person. So the big question is, how is our group, our future lab tech group, going to make that jump from just sending data to sending the banana? And how does that even work? Does it even work? So there's a lot still that we don't have access to. So yeah, I love him just laughing as it cackles. And there's the Jill Nana. Yep. I've solved it at last. Time was the D-mail's missing factor. He's like, does it bother you? I respect you for having the guts to gaze upon me so admiringly. She's like, I'm going to kick you in the balls, sir. So yeah, so then it's sent back 5 days earlier It's sent back 5 days earlier. Now, here's another question. When Moeka is sending all of the text messages, is she also receiving text messages from the future? Just it's being sent to the past, like what's been happening with the text messages here? Could be. We don't know. I like the text that he gets is that Okabe was an airhead. So my thing is, the text message split into two. We should talk about that. So in the past, not everything was sent directly to the past. Some was a goop. But then the question is, what happened to the rest of it? just part of the person was sent to the past. What about the rest of them? Lost in time, never seen again. Here, the data is sent to the past, but it's sent in multiple parts. So did the rest of the body get sent elsewhere in the other experiments by CERN? Are we getting into the idea of splintering the timelines and putting it into two different world lines? That is, what does this message mean? And she's like, oh, you'll figure it out. So then they're at the grocery store. So divergence means to separate from another route, especially a main one, and go in a different direction. So yeah, the idea of the data splitting and going into different routes would kind of make sense with this episode. But then there's the concept of the butterfly effect. So I'm not using an AI overview because I'm not lame. So we're going to use a wiki like we did in the olden days. So the butterfly effect, I don't want the Ashton Kutcher film, is part of chaos theory. So get your Jeff Goldblum paraphernalia out. It is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions in which a small change in one state of a deterministic nonlinear system can result in large differences in a later state. So, the term is closely associated with the work of mathematician and meteorologist Edward Norton Lorenz. He noted the butterfly effect is derived from the example of the details of a tornado, the exact time of formation, the exact path taken, being influenced by minor perturbations such as a distant butterfly flapping its wings several weeks earlier. Lorenz originally used a seagull causing a storm, but was persuaded to make it more poetic with the use of a butterfly and a tornado in 1972. He discovered the effect when he observed runs of his weather module with initial conditional data that were rounded in a seemingly inconsequential manner. He noted that the weather module would fail to reproduce the results of runs with the unrounded initial condition data. A very small change in initial conditions had created a significantly different outcome. The idea that small causes have large effects in weather was earlier acknowledged by French mathematician and physicist Henri Poincaré. I said that wrong. I am aware. Be happy the moderator is French and they will correct my pronunciation. But the American mathematician and philosopher Norbert Wiener also contributed to this theory. Lorenz's work placed the concept of instability of the Earth's atmosphere onto a quantitative base and linked the concept of instability to the properties of large classes of dynamic systems which are undergoing nonlinear dynamics and deterministic chaos. Okay, so basically I like this idea that we're talking about the butterfly effect. So in that, I feel like it's going to contribute very greatly to this series because you have the concept of something in the past setting up a major change in the future. Which, look, we've been sending text messages to the past. All of these text messages have been sent to the past. They don't seem like they're a big deal now. However, they could very well become a big deal down the road. I'm just saying. So it seems like this could become a very big problem down the road, that the stuff we've been doing so far, sending these text messages back into the past, could have some effect in the future. I don't know. And I think Amane would probably agree with us on that one. But he's like, come to think of it. Come to think of it. What does he say there? The last email was split into multiple messages, and some of it was lost. Yeah, the one message they sent was lost, and the other was split into 3 parts. So that's a little bit concerning. We can't predict how things are going to travel. It went back in time 5 days, too. There's some kind of rule to it. And that's when he realizes that Okabe was an airhead. And he's like, she was calling me an empty-headed idiot. And they're like, that took you a while. Curse you, Christina, taking advantage. So he gets all this chocolate and potato chips, and Okarin's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I'm celebrating. And he goes to put it back, and that's when Okarin notices the Jell-O. And he sees the green Jell-O, and thinks of the guy. And Okarin, one thing I appreciate about his character is that he can go on these delusional rants, but then instantly be brought back to reality, being like, yeah, the experiment was a success, but I involved Mayuri. Like, she could get hurt in all of this. Then what do I do? You know? He's like, was this really for the best? So then we see Moeka, Kiryuu Moeka, who is just like, hey, girl gives off like secret yandere vibes so bad. Maybe she's fine. Maybe this is all, maybe she's just super quiet and that's all. But she's pretty demanding. She is pretty demanding. And so he's like, what are you doing? You don't, he's like, I like that Okarin and I, communicators. We're like, just talk to us. Just talk to us face to face. He's like, you know, the great Hoin Kiyoma's cell phone is not just for you to text. So then Daru comes out. Daru, my dude. 2011 was a different time. We were in a different place. I will say, for those watching, if your goal is to have a woman talk to you and you've met her for the very first time, maybe saying, who's that sweet ass, is probably not the way you should start that conversation. Because, yeah, he's like, oh, who's that sweet ass? I'm like, you can't even see her ass. She's, like, facing you forward. He's like, oh, I mean, sexy 3D girl. And he's like, well, I'll introduce you. Like Okarin does not even think anything of it. Shining Finger. Yep. Member 005. Kiryuu Moeka. And then Daru, not checking to see if she has a great personality, is instantly like, oh man, she's got an awesome ass and big tits. So, hey, talk to me. And she's just like, nope. I mean, I don't blame her. Like, at least Okarin talked to her for once. He's like, even I once had hope for the 3D world. Well, maybe start off with a different one-liner. So, yeah. So then Amane is trying to get in and figure out what they're doing. Okarin, you know, for chiding onto Moeka and not letting her in on the secret, I don't think he has any right to get mad at Mayuri for spilling the beans and for Kurisu for spilling the beans either. Because he just walks up to Amane. He's like, oh, we're just performing this legendary experiment. She watched you walk in with the IBM computer. She knows where you all are. She's possibly been eavesdropping. She's told you she's eavesdropped before. He's so trusting of her and unsuspecting of Amane. And I'm like, she's the one you probably should be afraid of. But okay. And so apparently Kurisu keeps doing experiments and getting the boss riled up. And then Okarin actually just comes out and asks, why were you weird around Kurisu? And he's like, did something happen? What happened earlier? What's your deal? Did something happen in the past? And I'm sorry. Nothing happened in the past. You might as well just say I'm a time traveler and stuff happens in the future. You might as well just come out and say it. You might as well do that because we all know that that's probably what the case is. And I love, again, I hope that this is a running gag in the series and that Okarin goes through all 50 states. I really hope he does because I want to hear what he says about every state. And he's like, on the dry riverbed of the Mississippi, your red-eared slider ran away. Is there something to that? What is a red-eared slider? Oh, it's a reptile. It's a turtle. Oh, like a little, they're the little turtles, like the sea turtles, and they have like little red stripes on the side of their heads, like that's the red ear. Oh, we have a ton of those where I live. Oh my God, what a ridiculous thing. She's like, I saw her for the first time earlier. Again, I'd be trying to put two and two together. I'm just saying. And again, even the boss is looking at the whole thing with the satellite. Okay. Interesting. Or he's looking, it looks like he's looking at just temples there. Okay. And then, again, Okarin's like, we're performing an experiment that will rewrite scientific history. And he's like, sure, go upstairs and what is this? Miss Makise said to let her do it just once more. She's getting a little greedy with it. He's like, I warned you 5 days ago. Oh, when we weren't doing the experiments. So yeah, so Shining Finger, all these text messages, like just one after the other, right? So your phone went off a bunch of times. So what were her text messages? Yep, sorry. Are you maybe, how have you been? Well, hey, how have you been? I wonder if some of these text messages are getting sent from the future and they're just splitting off into different segments. Huh. I don't know. That's weird. That's weird that her texts are so disjointed, and we just talked about that. Like, find out anything about the IBM 5100. Huh. So then, he texts her back, and Kiryuu says, open the microwave door while heating. Timing is unconfirmed. Each second represents 1 hour back in time. Okay. So, that's what they figured out at this point, but the maximum amount of information that can be sent in 36 English characters and 18 Japanese characters. I'm sure you can't send anything too big. And she's like, oh, that curved black hole instead of curved black hole. Yes, right. The hole is too tight. And Daru's like, I'm like, this is why you're single, sir. Mm-hmm. But we can work on the details tomorrow and then go forward. But yes, August 2nd, 2010, a day that mankind will remember forever for the Future Gadget Lab. We've succeeded in developing humanity's first time machine. And they're like, CERN's already developed one. He's like, well, ours will be the first commercialized one, right? And then Mayuri says, I'm glad your experiments worked. I swear to you all, if anything bad happens to Mayuri, it is over. She is an angel baby. She is precious. They are setting something up for something bad to happen to her, and it better not happen because she's too good. She's too pure for this world. Mayuri's amazing. Nope. And he's like, okay. So then he has this nightmare. He has this dream. I like that when he sees Mayuri say that about how his experiments have gone well, you can see that kind of the bravado shifts away, and he sort of has this moment where he kind of gets serious and looks away. Like he doesn't know how to deal with that. Mm-hmm. Like it's all fun and games until Mayuri brings up like she's involved in this and could be in danger. So he has this dream where we see him somewhat semi-nude. We don't get to see anything below the waist. None of those shenanigans here. But he's not moving, and there's a black hole below him talking about time and space have changed places. And he's like, is this the event horizon? You cannot move through space, and time is extended forever. It's Kurisu's voice, which is interesting. 1 second of, I believe it's Kurisu's voice. 1 second of your time will be an eternity for me. If this is like end of Evangelion thing where Kurisu is like, you know, like a human embodiment of time, I'm sure it's not though. Is it me? You mustn't look back. Eternity isn't infinite, even if time extends towards eternity. And then he does the same thing that Mayuri does with the stardust handshake, where he puts the hand towards the center of the universe, but then it becomes goo. So I don't know what kind of foreshadowing that is. That's creepy. Yeah, and then the goo like just leaves his bones behind. And he's like, when will it be 1 second later? You mustn't turn back. I don't know. That whole thing about, you know, moving forward, don't turn back, don't go back into the past. It feels like a warning. It feels like he's getting a warning in his dream. I don't know. So then we get that it is the next day. It is 8:03 and it is 9:14. I'm assuming in the morning. Okay. So it's the next day, next morning. And we start out the day with him waking up to text messages from Moeka. Mm-hmm. The male freak. And so they were like, it's dark. Yeah. So this was like, the last every like 5 or 10 minutes. Are you asleep? Am I bugging you? Sorry for yesterday. Like, girl, can I come see you? So she was waiting on him. I'm coming up right now. And then there was that one at 9:15. It splits in two though. All of her text messages like split in two. So I'm like, are they being sent by her in the past or in the future, or how's that working? And is she sending texts from the future into the past that reach him. And that's when he shows up to open the door for her. She was already there. I don't know. That's weird though. I don't know what to make of that. So yeah, so she shows up, opens the door, and he's like, why are you using your cell phone? I can show you, but I didn't think you would come this early. You're really after an interview with me, aren't you? That's what I was like, why do you think she's interviewing you? Why would you let her in your apartment? Why do you think she's interviewing you? Like, he's convinced that she's obsessed with him for something. And he's like, why don't you talk? Are you terrified by my sinister aura? And she's like, it's easier to send me emails. So show me the IBM 5100. She sounds like a robot. She sounds like a robot when she demands these things from him. And once you see it, leave, right? But she does not do that. Instead, she looks at it and he's like, is she a retro PC fan? And then she sent the text message, says, let me take a picture. And he's like, not my face. I'll have to silence you forever. So she takes the photos of it, but I'm like, why? And she's like, I'd like to loan it. I'd be happy if you help me carry it. She doesn't even, like, with Moeka, she's so weird because she doesn't just say, hey, can I please borrow this? I really need it. And could you please help me? She goes, I'd be happy if you'd help me carry it. Like, she's almost demanding rather than asking. And I'm glad he says no. I'm glad he's like, no, I'm not lending it to you. He's like, look at me and say it. And she says, oh, you'll loan it to me? He's like, no, I'm borrowing it. And when I'm done, I'm going to return it to its original owner. And then she says its original owner. So somehow Moeka, we're going to put her up here. She's trying to track down maybe the OG owner of the computer. But the thing is, the OG owner is the one that actually gave it to Okarin. It was the shrine. And I don't think she realizes that. So yeah. So she asks that right as, and he mentions the shrine right as Daru pulls up. And he's like, oh, that's Miss Kiryuu. And then from there, he's like, I thought I'd improve the phone microwave a little and sending D-mails. And she's like, don't say that. And she's like, what do you mean sending emails to the past? And he's like, oh, you misheard. I don't know. I'm like, also, he's told Amane all of this practically. But with her, he's like, oh, no, you misheard. And then she ends up getting involved as 005 because everybody walks in talking about it. I'm like, clearly they're not concerned about this girl being a CERN agent because both Mayuri and Kurisu say it. She's like, I had an idea about the time machine. And then I love that Moeka's like, really? And he's like, this is bad. Information about number 8 has been leaked to a third party. I love that he's talking on his phone. Again, when he's nervous, he calls people. And he's like, don't email me while I'm on the phone to myself. I'm on the phone to myself having this serious conversation. But then he's like, was that maybe? And he looks. It can't be. It can't be FB. I'm like, what's FB? And then he's looking right at her. For the longest time. And he says, very well, I'll tell you everything. What? Why? Since you found out, there's nothing else I can do. So, she says, is it FB? And FB has been the subject line of a ton of these emails that she's received at the beginning of the episode. So, what the heck does FB mean? What? I feel like, did I miss? Y'all, he's like, from now on, you're lab member number 5. And she's like, okay. And everybody's like, but why? And he smiles at that. And she looks so unconcerned. She's just like, I don't really want to be a lab member. So Future Gadget Lab. Future Gadget. What does FB mean? It was the subject of the emails that she got at the very beginning of the episode in a row. But what it's not related to John Titor. And the lecture that they went to at the very beginning of episode 1, I don't think anything to do with FB. FB makes me think of Facebook. But why when Okarin saw FB did he go, okay, she knows too much and she knows everything he knows? Like, what? I don't understand. Also, the idea that Jelly Man is the name of the person doing the reports, and that's what people turned into from the experiment. I don't know. But yeah, what is FB? Why does Moeka, what? No, what does FB mean? That's going to drive me crazy, and I don't want you all to tell me because I'm going to find out, but that's not fair. That's not fair. Because Okarin, when she said that, yeah, she's like, this is bad. What's going on? We can't let the organization find out. And he just stares at her, and she's like, it can't be. It can't be FB. I don't know what that means. Like, not FBI? And he's like, and then he said, like, I'll tell you everything since you found out. There's nothing else I can do. I'm so curious what that means. Because, yeah, at the very beginning of the episode, when she was looking at her phone and was looking at the text messages that she had received in that moment, I was wanting to go back to it. Yeah, they're all FB as the subject line, and they were all sent to her yesterday. I feel like we get 2 steps forward, and then they throw something out about Okarin that takes us a step back. Because what the fudge is FB? And why is she getting text messages about it? I mean, is it Ferris? Is it Ferris something? Is that it? Or I don't know. I don't know, okay? Maybe she doesn't want her voice being heard because of is she FB? I mean, I don't think she's Ferris, and that's why she's not talking. I don't think that's the case. She has the glasses and everything. I want to go back real quick because Ferris, I don't think has the same color of eyes. No, I don't think so. I'm gonna go back episode 4 and look for a second. Yeah, because who did we see as she was getting ready? I mean, she has the same eyes and the same eyebrows, kind of. But I don't think she was talking about that. I don't think it's her. They look different, though. Okay, no, height-wise, they're different, too, because Ferris is a lot shorter than Moeka. Y'all, this series, again, 2 steps forward, and then you take a step back, at least, with all the information. So I don't know what FB stands for. And I'm afraid if I look it up, I'm going to be immediately spoiled. So I'm not going to do that. So instead, this episode was not as long as I anticipated for this week, but this was a lot of setup with Moeka. I still don't trust Amane. I still don't trust her. So there's that. But anyway, I'm curious to know your thoughts down below about Amane without spoiling, and about Moeka without spoiling, and just mainly about Daru not being able to be successful with 3D women. But anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll have more Dr. Pepper, and we'll be back real soon with more Steins Gate. Bye!